Good morning. Happy Wednesday. Welcome back to the Wolff Den presented by Win Again Academy and Ticket Time Machine. Mark Moyer doing some great things with Win Again Academy. We had an awesome networking event last night. Check out winagainacademy.com for more information. Get your coffee. We got a great episode this morning. It's early because our guest is in Israel. We're welcoming Tamir Goodman to the Wolff Den. Tamir, how's everything going today?
Thank you. Thank God everything's going well. Thanks for thinking of me.
Yeah, so really excited to talk about you and your story and talk about what you're up to now. But for the people in the audience who don't know, just give them a quick introduction and then we'll get into everything.
Well, my name is Tamir. I'm originally from Baltimore, Maryland. I fell in love with the game of basketball at a very young age. And by the time I was 17, I was ranked the 25th best high school player in the nation. I ended up getting a scholarship offer from the University of Maryland, joined their basketball program, which I committed to, but ultimately wasn't able to play there because I observed the Sabbath and can't play on the Jewish Sabbath. And I eventually went to Towson University, who accommodated me. They changed the schedule for me so that I would not have to play on the Sabbath. And I got to live out my dream. I believe I'm the only person that ever played Division I basketball on a full scholarship without having to play on Shabbat or any Jewish holidays. And I wear my kippah on the court while playing. After playing at Towson, I came over here to Israel to start my professional journey. I played here professionally for 7 years. I retired due to an injury and have been involved in front office, sports tech entrepreneurship, camps and clinics, and nonprofit stuff, and some scouting since then.
Well, it's an interesting story. I'm Jewish. I think it's an interesting story from anyone who's Jewish who's watching, but I think it's an interesting story for anyone, even if you're not Jewish, just to see everything. So let's start from the beginning. You're obviously a great basketball player growing up, and then Sports Illustrated dubs you the Jewish Jordan. Let's talk about that for a little bit.
Yeah, I think that social media is very powerful nowadays because everybody around the world could see everything so quickly, but it seems like there's so many news stories every day that like what was important to you in the morning might not be as important already by the evening or the next day. Whereas back in the day, like if you were in Sports Illustrated or we read an article or we saw a video or something, like it really meant so much because it's like that's what you were exposed to, and it's like it kind of got into your mind and in your heart. So when I was in Sports Illustrated, it was just such a game-changing moment. I mean, till today, almost everywhere I go, people stop me and say, "Hey, are you the Jewish Jordan?" And I'm just glad that at 17 years old, because of the way that I grew up, and I grew up in a house of Jewish teachings and stuff, it really never was about me. It was always about trying to like do good through the media attention, and it wasn't really about me. And that I think kind of helped me get through it as well as possible for someone that was only 17 years old. I recently ran into like one of the leading public relations guys in America, and he says that I really think other than Wilt Chamberlain, Allen Iverson, and LeBron James, there was never a high school basketball player in America with as much media attention and pressure on them as much as I had.
Well, it's funny you say that because I was just trying to find out some information. I came across a Bleacher Report article talking about the 20 most hyped high school recruits in basketball, and you came in at number 19. But you had people like Wilt, LeBron, Kareem, Iverson, Ewing. I mean, to be included in that list, it's insane, right?
Yeah, it was. Obviously those players are legendary, and there was like other lists that were already coming to me at that age. They had like a list at some point of like the most influential Jews in America, and I'm pretty sure I was like ahead of the White House press secretary when I was like 16 or 17 years old. And that just that really just I think gives you like a little idea of what my life was like. I mean, at the time Jerry Seinfeld did a skit about me on Saturday Night Live called The Jewish Jordan. The media attention was just it's hard to even imagine how much I went through.
Yeah, I like to look. I like to elevate my guests, but I also like to talk about the bad stuff and ask the tough question. Were you overhyped I mean, was it obviously it's a great story because just the fact that someone who's wanting to play basketball at a high level and wanting to give up, playing on Saturdays, the Sabbath, which is a difficult thing to do in college basketball. Saturdays is the day. That's when people play the majority of the games. But is it safe to say that you were overhyped a little bit?
I don't think that type of media attention for that at that age it's out of control. I mean, I
Yeah.
was an international. There was articles about me in Germany, and there was articles about me all over the world. So in a lot of ways, I think it was good because till today, I'm still able to help people and make connections for people and make introductions for people and inspire people because of the media attention. But in other ways, it was very difficult. It was very difficult for me as a person that, is just a very simple person, don't really like a lot of noise. And then also it was like, I, it, I just couldn't be a regular high school basketball player. I felt like in a lot of ways it caused so many things, like with Maryland, and then I'd go to NBA camp in the summer or like Adidas camp in the summer, and like all the other players, they already know about me, all the other recruits. Then everything that happened at my high school, and then I had to transfer my senior year of high school and transfer, just for my senior year of high school, go to another school. It was a Christian school, actually. They were Seventh-day Adventists. They don't play basketball on the Sabbath either. So I transferred to a Christian school. That ended up, that was a big, it ended up being a great blessing, but it was like, again, I don't know if all that would have happened if it wasn't for the media and just so many trades and teams and just this whole crazy thing. I think like in a lot of ways, if I didn't have the media attention, it was just people watching me as a regular basketball player, maybe things would have gone just much smoother. I would have got a regular, Division I scholarship and played, and everyone would say, wow, this guy's, really, really great passer. He's really great in the open court, and he's fun to watch. Something like that.
I feel like you probably would have had a better basketball career, but I don't know if your life, because there's so much good that happened, I think, and you can talk about it, but don't you think like maybe your basketball career might have been a little bit better, but your whole life and all the stuff you've been able to accomplish might not have been better?
Yeah, Matt, and that's something that I think about all the time. It's like, how do we define success? Like, do we define success by like how many points you score or how much money you make? Or do you define success in like, did you reach your potential in this world and why God created you? When God brought your soul down, what was he anticipating when he made that investment, And I think like that's our main thing. That's our main focus in life. And I think, yes, the struggles, the injuries, the setbacks, the negativity in the media, the being overhyped, walking into arenas, being thousands of people screaming overrated, overrated when you're only 17 years old, those type of moments help me reach my potential as a person because I feel like I learned so much, and a lot of what I'm doing now is hopefully inspiring younger faith-based athletes and people around the world that want to beat the odds and want to reach their potential, and maybe could look at my story and some of the things that I went through and create a smoother path for them and not have to go through what I went through in some ways. That would be great.
If you can go back and tell Sports Illustrated thanks, but no thanks, would you do it?
The easy way would be yes to say thanks and no thanks, but for me and reaching my potential as a person, I felt like I had to go through that so that the next generation of players or whoever would have a little bit of a smoother path in their journey. And to me, that I guess that feels a lot better than saying yes but no thanks.
Yeah, when when I say like overhyped and you talk about overrated, yeah, I mean there's almost no one who could go through that stuff and come out I can count on my hands like LeBron James, right? I mean there's so few people who can do that in anything. I watched a great 30 for 30 called Little Big Men. I don't know if you ever heard of it. It was about the Little League World Series, and his name was Cody Webster. 12 years old, they won the Little League World Series, which hadn't been done by the U.S. And from there, the hype that this 12-year-old got from being a champion and being dubbed the next best thing, and he just, he didn't perform well. He didn't love playing the game anymore. So, I mean, you see a lot more of that happen to the people who get hyped up like that. Freddie Adu's of the world, Brian Taylor, Danielle Mont. I mean, the list is so long of people who excelled at such a high level at a young age. It's not realistic to think that they can sustain that.
Yeah, well, my grandmother was she recently passed away, was a Holocaust survivor, and she used to say, with every little thing, you need mazel. You need a little bit of blessing, and so much has to go right for things to go right. And in a way that it's revealed, like LeBron is incredibly blessed, and he's done all, and he continues to do all the right things, and he has exceeded expectations, and that is very rare. But like for me, it's like I basically lost my knee in my first pro season, which was really my sophomore year of college. My whole career was playing my freshman year in college. When I was 19, my knee was already shot, and it
Yeah.
was a matter of battling through for 7 years. And so it's like that happens, and then mentally you lose your confidence because you're just not the same player, and it's just like one surgery and the next surgery and another trade, and it's very hard to perform well. And then you start saying, wow, you know what, like everyone just looks at you as like overhyped. But then you redefine success for yourself, and I'm a lot more proud of what I've accomplished in the second part of my career than what I accomplished in the first part of my career, because if you're healthy and you're a good player and you're working hard, and basketball is fun, you could accomplish a lot of amazing things, but what happens when it gets taken away from you? And I'm proud that I never quit early. I came back from 3 career-ending injuries. I did every single thing possible, and way more than that, pushing myself to tears every day to get back out there and play. And my body just never healed. And then I took all that energy, and I flipped it into positive things. It made me into a more sensitive person. It made me into a more creative person. It made me understand my mission in this world a lot more. So, yes, a lot of people might say Tamir was overhyped, but I'm actually more proud of what I accomplished through my challenges than what I accomplished before I was hurt or anything like that. So,
Yeah, there are two things on that. The first thing is that 99% of us, the second half is going to be more important than the first half. I'm 45 years old, and I'm much more proud of what I've accomplished in the last 5 years than I did in the first 40 years of my life. And I'm heading up. So it's never too late. It's again, how do you define success? Everyone has that differently. And the second thing about being overhyped is it's such an honor and a privilege, and so few people get to actually be hyped at that level that it's not really that big a deal to be called overhyped. I've never been overhyped, I don't think, but I feel like it's like a badge of honor. Be like, look, I was at that level, and very few people can say that they were there. It's like 1% or less than 1%.
yeah, the bottom line is, one thing that I always think about when I want to settle how I'm feeling or anything is that, like, look, when I was growing up, to get a Division I scholarship while wearing your kippah on the court and telling, like, it's so hard to get a Division I scholarship, okay, for basketball. Imagine that, plus telling the coaches you can't play from sundown Friday to sundown Saturday, okay, and you can't play on the Jewish holidays, and you want to wear a kippah on your head, which no one else has really ever done at that level. It's going to be really hard to land a scholarship, And the bottom line is, I got that. I won the coaches award as a freshman. I got to start as a freshman. I got to play against Villanova. I got to play against Michigan. I got to live out my dream. I got to play professionally for 7 years and do all that without playing on the Sabbath. And growing up, that was seen as impossible. But ultimately, I got to live out my dream. So I'm forever grateful. I go to bed at night and say, thank God I got to experience it. I got to play against LSU. I'm so thankful, and I always work from what I have instead of what I don't have.
Yeah, it's to put an analogy in today's game for the kids. It's like maybe trying to see if Kyrie Irving can play an NBA season without getting vaxxed. It's just not going to happen.
Well, it's very interesting what's going on. We're all treading the new waters, and it's like every day in the news, in sports news, it's just like there's so many things that, like, we just never had to think about before. We never had to. It's like used to watch sports shows when we were younger. It was like you could just talk about the game, the X's and O's, and maybe a couple of like things, about off the court stuff. But nowadays, it's just, I don't know if it's social media or everything that's going on in the world. changing so quickly. Everything is so fast, and I just wish everybody, my dad, blessed memory, always used to say, the best thing to do is just wish everyone should have the blessings they need in life. That's how I view it. There was once a great rabbi. He used to say, why do we have two eyes? It doesn't make sense. We have one mouth, we have one nose. Like, why don't we have one eye? Why don't we have two eyes? And he said, because it's like you train yourself to look at everyone with your right eye. Just see the positive of everyone, wish them their blessings. And if there's like any critique or anything that like needs refinement, he's like, that's for you to look at yourself with your left eye. And that's why we have two eyes. And that's kind of how I live. I try to live.
No, it's a great.
I look at the big picture always. I'm a really big picture guy. I love helping people. I love sharing. I love, I'm not like an ego guy or someone that's looking to get back at people. There's been so many times in my life where even people who have hurt me so much, but I still took the high road. And even 15, 20 years of people that wrote bad things about me in books, people that all sorts of things. And now I have great relationships with them only because I value relationships. I value taking the high road. And I have, I guess, a very healthy self-confidence, thank God. And I think it came from going through everything that I went through, those things that you were mentioning earlier.
Yeah, the reason I mentioned that about Kyrie is that it's just there's very few people that others are just going to change everything to accommodate for. So that makes it even that more special that there's people who say, you know what, this guy is good enough that we're going to try and accommodate him. Now, and we're going to get into the whole college thing, Maryland, Towson, basketball again. If you were a football player, you can't do it. You got to play on Saturdays, right? I mean, there's no getting around it. So, but let's go to the beginning and talk about your Jewish upbringing. You're in Maryland.
Yeah.
Your family from day one, as you were born, was Orthodox.
Yeah, Orthodox, but very, very special. And why do I say that? I say, first of all, my grandmother was one of the oldest Holocaust survivors. And she raised me. I was closer with her than everybody else. She was someone that she was like 20, 21 years old, 19, 20, 21 years old in the camps in Bergen-Belsen. Like, she wasn't like a young girl. She remembered everything, but she chose to live life with just choosing to win each day and being an incredible human being and being extra kind. And so I grew up in this amazing home of motivation and inspiration, and was living with a hero every single day. And my dad of blessed memory, he was just an amazing guy. Like, he was a lawyer, and he wore his kippah in court, even though a lot of Jewish lawyers didn't back then. They were embarrassed or whatever. They didn't wear their kippah in court. And my dad was proud, and when if I would go to Orioles game when I was younger, or I'd go to a Ravens game, or anywhere we went in Baltimore City, people would just come over to him and shake his hand and say, "Thank you, Mr. Goodman. You helped me so much in my life. Thank you, Mr. Goodman. Thank you, Mr. Goodman." Like, all over Baltimore. And he was so open to the world and open to helping people and doing it as a proud Jew. And so it's like we would have like Morgan State basketball team over our house for Friday night Shabbat dinner. We'd have like our house is like, it was really open house, open to the whole world, but like we were Jewish, and so I was exposed to everything. It wasn't like I was an insular Orthodox community. I grew up Orthodox, but in the open world of where the physical and the spiritual united. And you could be a basketball player, and God wants you to be a basketball player, but try to have like good intentions, try to better the world, try to play for a higher purpose, try to be extra kind to everyone, try to unite people. That's kind of how I grew up. So I had the, great basketball, but I also had great family, and those two together really helped me and put me in a unique situation. I always say, like, if I didn't grow up in Baltimore, I don't know if this would have happened. It just had the perfect blend of like the best coaching and the best community and the best family.
Yeah, it's, again, I mentioned I'm Jewish. Growing up Jewish, being Jewish is very important to me. For me, it's more of like a culture than a religion. I'm very Reformed. There's so many different levels. We can do a whole episode on Judaism, but there's so many different levels. But the interesting thing about being Jewish is, so me and my friends, we all grew up being Jewish. We got bar mitzvahed. We went to Hebrew high school. And then you grow up as an adult and you kind of figure out, what does it mean to me? What do I want to do? right? And so I don't consider myself very religious, but I go to temple on the high holidays. I observe the fast. I celebrate Passover and the way that it's intended. And probably 9 out of 10 of my friends don't, right? So you get a choice to be like, hey, how do I want to observe? What kind of Jew do I want to be? And so it's different when you're Orthodox and you're growing up Orthodox, because you don't have a choice. This is what you are. This is what you have to do. You have to obey it, right? And very few people, once you've done it for this long, are going to be like, you know what? I don't want to be Orthodox anymore. So it's a different life, and in some ways, as you're growing up this way and you're missing out on things, I say that as someone who's not Orthodox, you probably don't care about missing out on things. It doesn't matter at this point, but you're missing out on certain things, and you kind of don't, in a way, you kind of don't know any better. You don't know what this other life is like. So it's like, it's not a big deal for you. How did that affect you, as you were growing up? Was that the type of experience that you had?
Yeah, well, it's like you could look at, well, like you say, first of all, Matt, the most important thing is the relationship. The most important thing is the relationship with God. An authentic relationship is the most important thing. God, the relationship is everything. Going through the motions just for no reason, it's just like everything in life, like, am I your friend because you get me Knicks tickets? Then I'm not really friends with you. I want something from you. It's selfish. It's not a relationship. Or do we're friends because I just love you for who you are. I don't need anything in return. That's like the most authentic. So the most important thing is the relationship, and everything you do is great. But like you say, the main thing is the relationship. And for Judaism, it's like, you could look at it and say, oh my God, like, uh, how tough is this? Like, does God really care? Like, from the second I wake up until the second I go to bed, every single thing that you do in the day, there's a Jewish way to do it. There's a Jewish way to get dressed. There's a Jewish way to cut your nails. There's a Jewish way to eat. There's a Jewish way to pray. There's a Jewish way to talk to people. There's a Jewish way to study. There's like every single aspect of your life. There's like a Jewish way to do it. And like, we could either think to ourselves like, oh my God, this is like totally overwhelming, or we could say to ourselves, you know what? No, this is actually the most freeing thing in the world. It's giving me a guideline, a player's manual to have a happy and meaningful life. And it would be really sad if I didn't have a way to do every single thing in this world. I'm grateful for it, and it helped me so much because like it kept me very balanced. Like, because I played for a higher purpose. Like, if I played really well, I was never satisfied. I'm like, I can't take practice off tomorrow. I can't take the day off tomorrow. This isn't about me. This is like, there's so much. It gave me so much more motivation. And then if I messed up and I made mistakes, and now I had to pick myself back up because it wasn't just about me. So the Judaism was actually like the most freeing thing for me because it gave me like a coach's manual, basically, which I needed really badly for my life. And so I tried never to view the Judaism as a negative. I always tried to view it as a positive and embrace it.
Oh, let's get into the college years, right? You're dubbed the Jewish Jordan. You commit verbally
Yep.
to play for Maryland and Coach Gary Williams, and then things get a little unclear.
Yeah.
Um, well, I guess you
I
could say, my understanding, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, is that there's a lot of different angles on what people think happened. Some people say that Maryland thought that you weren't the player that they thought you were going to be. Others people say they thought that you were going to maybe move off your stance of only playing on Saturdays. From your point of view, what happened?
Yeah, like I say, I'm going to say from my point of view, because how much do you really know when you're 18, 16, 17, 18? I'm sure my coaches and people, everything else would know differently. But from what I understood, Coach Hahn, who I was the closest with at Maryland, who was assistant coach, until today, I love him dearly, and his family. Um, I was most closely in touch with him and got this opportunity, I would say, through him, because he was the one who watched me play the most, I believe. And things were going really well. Like, I was playing at Maryland in the summer runs, and before, like, in the summer time with the open gyms and everything like that, and it was going really well. Everything was going really well, and then coaches just called me to the office and they basically said, you could stay and play here. You have a scholarship, but based on how we see things moving forward and how I guess we project you and everything going on, you can stay and play, but if you want to play and stay here, you're going to have to start to play on Saturday. You're going to have to play on Saturdays. And I said, and originally I told them I really can't. I told that from the beginning. And, originally they said they tried to accommodate me any way they could. And as time came closer, they said, if you want to stay and play, you're going to have to play on Saturday, based on how we see things moving forward. And I said, Coach, I have nothing against you or the assistant coach or anybody here that was in that meeting. And it was just with my mom. I love Maryland. I grew up on Maryland basketball. I will always love you. And I just can't play on Saturday. And I said, thank you so much. I never thought anything bad about them. I walked down on Coalfield House with my mom. We just stood in the M in this half court in the big M for 1 second. The stadium was empty. And I just said, never going to play here. And I walked out. And I am so thankful that till today, I'm very good terms with Steve Francis. I'm in very good terms with everybody. I always move forward. I always have a big picture attitude. I love relationships. And I'm thankful that, till today, I'm very close with those people. I'm grateful that they won the national championship. I'm always going to be a Maryland fan. I think that was great for Maryland. And I'm so forever thankful to everyone at Towson who came to help me, went out of their way and say, hey, let us know what needs to be done. And maybe we could change the schedule for you. And they did. And I won the coaches award after my freshman year and everything was great. And then unfortunately, I was on the dean's list and everything. Unfortunately, my coach who helped me got fired after my freshman year. And that's really where my life took a huge hit, a huge turn. And that was really hard for me.
Yeah, I mean, in fairness, it's easier for Towson to maybe make accommodations than Maryland. Is that fair to say?
I would say it's fair to say. I think also when you get down to it, it really wasn't that hard. I mean, people had to go out of their way to help me, but like in the winter, the Sabbath ends at it gets dark at what, 5:45, 5:50.
Yeah, 8 o'clock game, not a big deal.
Instead of playing at 2:45 or 3 o'clock, can we play at 5:30 or 6 or whatever? And Coach Jazz, who I love and I'm in touch with till today, was able to do that. I think it was like 4 or 5 games, and the whole coaching staff and the players, and they told Coach to come recruit me. And these guys are my brothers till today, and I'm forever grateful. Without them, I wouldn't have been able to live out my dream. So that's how Coach, if I understand correctly, was able to manage to change the schedule. It was about bumping it up like 3 or 4 hours, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, interesting. Let's say you're in the NCAA tournament and you advance past the first round. You're in the second round. They would, the NCAA would have had to push the schedule to make sure that your game was a night game in an area because everything's based on TV. Definitely now, but even back then, so it would have been tough. And the Final Four is on Saturday and Monday, but generally speaking, I think the first, depending on where you are, again, whichever location they're at, because the times are the same, right? If you're playing in California, if the Final Four is in California and the game's at 6 o'clock Eastern, it's 3 o'clock there. So there probably would have been some challenges, but definitely something that could be done.
Yeah, like I said, I'm forever grateful to everyone. And I'll just share the closest I ever got to that situation was our conference semifinal to advance. Our conference semifinal came out on a Friday night, and I could not play in the game. I sat out that night, and Towson actually won, and we advanced. And I stayed in a different hotel than the team because if they won without me on Friday night, I'd be able to play the second half on Saturday night of the championship game because I stayed in a hotel that was right across the street from the arena. That way, if they won, I'd just rush right over and play the second half on Saturday night. If they lost, the season was over. And that Friday night, I stayed in a hotel different from the team hotel, and all of a sudden heard a knock on the door on Friday night, and it was my entire team. And they say, Tamir, we know you don't watch TV basically tonight. We just want to let you know we won the game for you. We won the game for Shabbat. We respect so much that you didn't play in the biggest game of your life. This game's for you. And that was probably the greatest sports moment of my life. I'll never forget that.
You win Saturday?
Saturday we lost. We made a nice run. I think we were down by 15 at the half. We came back, and we lost at the end of the season. We were so excited about my sophomore year. The team was excited. We had such a great bond with the players. Everything was ready to move forward. And unfortunately, spring break, our coach got fired. And that really was a very, very big challenge for me. I could not handle that and what happened after that. It was very, very hard.
Yeah. By the way, for people who don't know Towson, it's a one of the most beautiful campuses in all of the U.S. My sister visited Maryland as when she was deciding to go and took a look at Towson also. Just an incredible, beautiful campus. Maryland is too. The whole area is.
Yeah, I think that's what hurt me so much was I went through so much in my life, and I finally found a home at Towson, and it was great, and they were accommodating, and my teammates were my brothers, and I was doing well in school, even though I was so dyslexic. I like pushed myself, and I made it to Dean's List, and I won the coaches award. Like I felt like finally, wow, everything is set for me, and then boom, and that was too much for me to handle at such a young age.
Yeah. We had Steve Graber from the Maccabi USA on yesterday to talk about the games. Did you ever play in the games? Were you ever involved? Is that something you're involved in now, being in Israel?
Yeah, I'm very involved in Maccabi games in a lot of different ways. At the time, I went to the tryouts and I advanced with David Bluthenthal, who ended up playing here in Israel too, from USC, if you remember him. But ultimately, I chose, because of my learning challenges and being dyslexic, coach really wanted me to get some summer classes in before the season would start, like the harder classes for me. And I decided that I should do that. And I went to summer school instead, and I got a little bit of head start on my classes, and I just trained at Towson and worked out there ahead of the season because the schoolwork was just, it was, I knew that I had to do that in order to pass, and because of my learning disabilities. And I was able to, but I did miss out on playing in Maccabi games. But like, I'm very, very involved with Maccabi now in a lot of different ways.
Good. Well, let's talk about what you're doing today. You have a basketball camp. You have some technology companies. Tell everyone kind of
Yeah.
what's going on over there.
So what do I do today? I have a front office position with Hapoel Jerusalem. It's my 8th year with the team, business development. I have one product that made it to the NBA called Zone 190. I'm about to release another product that I invented. I'm probably going to release it probably on Monday. I'm very, very excited about that new basketball technology. I work as a consultant for a lot of the Israeli sports tech startups. I'm very involved in Hoops for Kids, which is a nonprofit organization that does after-school basketball mentorship for asylum seekers and underprivileged kids in Israel. I have a new children's book coming out, a movie coming out, and my basketball camp in the summer is an international basketball camp where we bring NBA coaches and NBA personalities to Israel every summer and just try to build bridges, unite people through the game of basketball, empower the players, just try to do a lot of good through basketball every day. Every day I get phone calls, exciting phone calls of different things where I could hopefully help people both in business and in basketball. And that's really kind of like what most excites me.
Yeah, basketball camp was huge for me. I have a twin brother who was the best player in our town growing up. He was on the 8th grade team in 6th grade, and I wasn't great when I was that age, but we were both very tall, and with my brother being as good as he was, we basically won every game. It didn't matter who else was on the court. And then I went to Pocono Invitational basketball camp, and my game just skyrocketed. I was playing against the type of talent that it was. So I'm a big believer in a basketball camp and how good it could be for people for a lot of reasons. I worked as a waiter, and I had to go up to paint and stuff in order to go for free because it was expensive back then. So there's just a lot of good lessons in being able to go to basketball camp. This was a sleepaway basketball camp. I know there's is yours a day camp or a sleepaway camp?
Well, ours was an overnight camp until Corona.
Okay.
The airport's, yeah, it's just, we had to go day camp last summer. 3 of my camps got canceled throughout Corona. This summer we were able to launch a day camp, and let's see what happens. They're saying that the airport's going to be opening soon in Israel again soon, so I really hope so. But like I said, I work with what I have instead of what I don't have, and I love what camp's been able to accomplish for so many kids around the world, and also for our coaches that come over.
Yeah, I don't even remember this kid's name. I got to imagine he played somewhere. I've never seen someone dribble from one end of the court to the next faster than this guy. And I played a lot of basketball against a lot of it was incredible, just the amount of talent from people all over coming into one. And that's how you get better, right? You play against better people. That's how I got better. I was playing against people that I probably shouldn't even have been on the court with, and you just keep going and going, and that's how you improve. I always think the best thing you could do, even if you're just playing casually, is to get on a court with people where they're better than you.
Yeah, kids ask me, like, they say, Tamir, what was the best part of your game? Was it passing? Was it shooting? Was it ball handling? I say the best part of my game was being knocked down and getting back up. And that doesn't just mean like physically. It means like getting traded, being cut, missing shots, turnovers, injuries, battling back, getting injured again, coming back. Came back from 3 career-ending injuries. 3 times the doctor said you're never going to play again. I think that work ethic, that resilience, that drive, that was the best part of my game. There's no doubt about it. And like you say, it affects your life forever. Everything I do on a daily basis till today is I'm very good at like moving forward.
So you're in Israel. You've been there for quite a while since playing pro, and then settled in. Your family's back in the States.
Yeah, almost everyone's back.
Your mom.
Yeah, almost everyone's back in the States. My father passed away 10 years ago, so my mom moved here also to take care of my grandmother, who I was telling you about, and she took care of her. She was a Holocaust survivor. She took care of her for the last 8 years of her life, like around the clock. Like she just was loved every single second because she was a hero. She was a hero to the whole world, and my mom took care of her around the clock until she passed away. So my mom's still here. And my brothers and my family they're still in Maryland.
Do you ever think about going back to the States and like running a week basketball camp somewhere there? Is that something that you thought about?
Yeah, I have a lot going on now in the future. I think with my new product and the movie and stuff, I can envision that I'll be back pretty soon. A lot of really exciting things going on. So stay tuned and see how they develop. And but I think they will bring me back to Maryland. Some of these
By the way, we forgot to mention you have 5 kids on top of everything that's going on, right?
Yeah,
what's the age range?
Yeah, I have an amazing wife and 5 kids. And we also rescued a really big dog. So we have a fun family.
Back to you talk about this. You're writing a children's book. You wrote a book called The Triple Threat on the Jordan Jewish Jordan Triple Threat. I tried to find it on Amazon. It's going for around $800 in paperback. What is that? Just it's out of print, or what's going on with that?
Oh, I I should be able to buy a digital one.
You can buy digital, but I'm not a digital guy. I'm a physical. We're a ticket time machine. Everything we do is physical. So I'm a physicist, and I include that with my books. I like to grab a book and read it.
Oh man, I wish I had some more copies, or I would have sent you one, but I don't have. That book is more towards like players, older players, and things like that. The new book is a children's book, and hopefully going to inspire younger generation of kids to beat the odds, take their challenges, and turn them into blessings, and go out there and fulfill their dreams in a happy and meaningful way. And really excited about that project as well.
Yeah, I mean, again, when we start talking about the impact that people have on others, there's such a small amount of people who are going to have that huge impact on the court or on the field. And it doesn't even matter how good of a player you are. You could have such a huge impact on, we talk about life and faith and family. I mean, that's the important stuff, right? That's the good stuff. Like basketball is great. I love basketball. I wish I could have been a better player than I was and gone on to do all that stuff. But, as you start to look at what's really important in life, all this other stuff that you've been able to do and the books you've written and to talk about the faith and just being able to stand, the biggest lesson is just being, hey, look, this is what I believe in. I'm not moving off my position, and I'm going to be successful doing it. That's such a huge lesson for people to understand. And it doesn't matter if it's because you're Jewish or because you have a handicap or a learning disability, or maybe you have some mental health going on, or there's so many reasons why you shouldn't be able to do what you want to do. But there's always proof, someone's proof that you can do it, and you can do it your way.
Yeah, well, I'm definitely not perfect. I've made a million mistakes, still make a million mistakes every day. Try really hard to win every day. But I am so thankful to God that I married I love my wife. Like, we've been married for 18 years. I tell her 100 times a day, every second, how blessed I am. thank her. We have 5 incredibly special kids. My days are based around giving back and helping people, getting people gigs, jobs, connecting players, coaches, agents, product development, getting people and helping people get investors in their products. Like I don't even know how this happens. Just every day something magical happens, and it's all from the energy of giving back. And nobody could take away your faith. Someone could punch you, someone could hit you, someone could steal from you, someone could do, no one could take away what you believe, your faith and your values. They say, like, with a lot of the Holocaust survivors, like they may have taken away, like they physically hurt them. They physically hurt them, but they can't take away their soul. No one can take away someone's soul, no matter how much. Those are the things that we have forever in life. And I agree with you.
Yeah, let's talk about the Holocaust for a second. There's so many good movies and shows that are around that. You obviously have a special connection, being probably hearing 100 stories or thousands of stories from your grandma. Is there any of those movies or stories that kind of stick out to you that you really enjoyed? Did you see Jojo Rabbit and Inglourious Bastards? I mean, there's just so many good movies that I enjoy. And that I think tell a story that, unfortunately, there's people who they don't believe it, right? I mean, it's crazy.
I tell you, like, I've seen a lot of movies and everything, and they're great and they're important. We need them because, like you say, there's a lot of Holocaust deniers out there, and when they watch the movie, hopefully it'll help educate them. But we lived it so much with my grandmother, both of my grandparents, Holocaust survivors, and my wife's grandparents, both Holocaust survivors. So we all lived it everywhere we go, every single day, like in a crazy way. But they say you're supposed to live with the times of the week, Jewish people. What does that mean? You live with the Torah portion of the week. This Torah portion is the story of Noah and the floods. And interesting thing I heard today that ties back into the Holocaust is, why did Noah send out the raven and then the dove? Why not just send out the raven? Like, why the dove? And the raven represents a very fierce, strong animal, bird, whereas the dove represents like love, kindness. And the dove only stays with its one partner, whoever it married. Like, they don't like cohabit with many other. They stay loyal. And Noah was teaching the world, like, after a flood, after a trauma, after the Holocaust, after something really, really, really hard, we have to be strong like a raven. But ultimately, we need to be a dove in life. We need kindness. We need loyalty. We need to be sweet. And Noah taught us how to come back from a flood. And I think that we all owe a debt of gratitude to Holocaust survivors, because they were all doves. They didn't come out of the Holocaust angry at anyone. They came out of the Holocaust saying, hey, no one stereotype anymore. Let's be sweet to each other. Let's build our families. I don't have any money. I don't have anything, but I have love. Let's just fill the world with goodness and kindness. And they taught us what it means to be a dove, and I think that's going to be the greatest thing. That's the greatest way to thank Holocaust survivors. That's what they brought to the world. They showed to the world that you could come from the greatest tragedy in human history and still be incredibly kind, because no one could take away your soul. It's the same thing we're talking about.
Yeah, again, I talk about entertainment and movies a lot, because it's just, that's a lot of what shapes the knowledge that people have about things. And so when you look at a Bruce Almighty kind of story, to talk about Noah, I mean, it's funny, right? They make a little bit light of it, but the story still remains. It's important of, hey, I want to hold on to something because I have a belief in this, a blind faith. And, but that gets you in trouble sometimes, having blind faith in things. It does. But it's a very important thing in life to have that kind of faith in something. It doesn't matter what that faith comes from. I have faith in myself that everything's going to be okay. I had some mental health issues. I'm running a small business that's, I quit my job it doesn't come from God. Although maybe it does. I don't even know where it comes. I can't tell you where it comes from. I know everything's going to be okay, and I have faith in myself and that. So I think it's important for people to have that, whatever it is, whatever it comes from. Maybe it's God, maybe it's something else, maybe it's overconfidence. Whatever it is, I think that's an important part of people's lives, and to understand that there's always someone who has it worse than you. I mean, I couldn't even imagine if I was in the Holocaust. I don't, especially at a young age, not today. I probably would have given up. Said, you know what, I'm not getting out of this. And there's a lot of people who did, right? And no fault, you can't fault someone for that. But there's a lot of people who said, you know what, I'm going to get through this and I'm going to survive. And then everything that happens after this is almost going to be like a cakewalk.
Yeah, I mean, Maimonides, Rambam, great philosopher, Jewish rabbi. He always used to say, find the middle road, be balanced. It's not good to be extreme in any way. And I feel like I find that in my life, like so many times, realizing like how right he was about that. But at the same time, I think it's very important to realize that we are important. We matter. Like our decisions matter. We are great. Like God, a part of God is in us at all times and investing in us, pumping our heart, making the 60 trillion cells in our body work. That's an unbelievable investment. Some people say there's 90 trillion cells. Like there's a big investment going on in us. And that investment is because we're important and we are great and we can make a great contribution to this world. And we are in an amazing partnership. And there are principles that we can't break, but at the same time, like you say, there needs to be like a balance. It's not good to think it's like in my opinion, my way or the highway. I know everything, sometimes it is good to listen. Sometimes we need to have some flexibility. And a lot of times it's about doing what the Rambam said, finding the balance, but at the same time, having a core set of beliefs that no one could ever take away from you. I think that's the balance.
Yeah, if it's probably a weird question. I'm not sure if you ever gotten it before, but if you could take a 24-hour break from being Orthodox, what would you do that you can't do today?
I have not even one desire in the world to even, my mind can't even think like that or want to go there because I am so thankful for every single thing I have.
I get that, but I'm saying you never thought like, hey, I'd like to have a burger.
No, I have no desire to have a cheeseburger or no desire to break the Sabbath or something like that. I basically live on fruits and vegetables anyway, and that's
why you look like you and I look like me. I have a desire to eat a bacon cheeseburger every day, and you have no desire to eat a bacon cheeseburger.
Yeah, I'm weird. I don't like coffee. I don't like chocolate. I'm easy. I'm real easy.
Is that from? I mean, was that from your playing days? And when you're a high level athlete, you really got to watch what you put in your body.
A lot of that is still going on in my life. Like, even if I get home still really late at night, I can't miss my morning workout at 4 a.m. I still get up at 4, do my train. Like, I still train. I mean, obviously, my body's not what it was because of all the injuries and the surgeries, but I still train like a pro every single day. I don't have a car. I ride my bike everywhere. I work out twice a day. I only eat very, very healthy food. I pray really early in the morning. I start my day. Like, I do everything I did when I still played, basically, as much as I can. It doesn't leave you. It's like a way of life.
It's crazy. I can't. I wake up at like 7, 6:30, or when I wake up early, I'm like, maybe I'll go exercise, and I'm like, nah, I'll do it later.
I'm just forever grateful for. I don't know if you ever saw the TRX. I don't know if you know the TRX, the straps, those like yellow and black straps. The TRX. So for some reason, they've been really great for me in my life, and all the knee injuries, and I'm thankful that I have my bike and I have the TRX because a lot of things I just can't physically do because of the chronic pain that my body's in. So thank God for that.
Well, I like to do some some quick questions and get some stuff some answers from you. Who's the best basketball player you ever played against or with?
Carmelo Anthony.
Carmelo. I'm not a fan of Carmelo. I know how good he is. He just rubs me the wrong way. I don't know why. I don't know why that is.
We've known each other since high school. I got to catch up with him pretty recently, which was really nice. And I'm just proud of everything that he's been able to accomplish. And like, as far as like the best player the most accomplished, that would be him. As far as like I guess like my favorite player that I ever got to guard and stuff like that. Well, I'll tell you two. I'll tell you one who unfortunately got hurt. His name was Speedy Claxton.
Oh yeah, Drexel, right? Drexel or
Hofstra, but
Hofstra. I knew it was one of those small.
He was he's a head coach there now, but before he got hurt, and people told me like when he first got to the NBA, he was unstoppable, but he got hurt. So Speedy was unbelievable. Like that was like that was like one time in my life where like I was trying to guard someone and I was like, wow. Like I was like, before I'm talking about Speedy before he got hurt. There's another guy who I just adore as a human being and a player. His name was Anthony Parker. He played in Israel for Maccabi Tel Aviv. A lot of people say he's the greatest player to ever play in Europe. And then he went to play for the Cavs and the Raptors. He had a nice NBA career. His sister's Candace Parker. But he was just such a phenomenal player and is such a phenomenal person that he just to me represents like everything basketball is about. And yeah.
Growing up in Maryland, what did Len Bias mean to you?
Everything that had to do with Maryland basketball meant everything to us growing up. Len Bias, obviously, Maryland, like I remember from my youngest days, like my father teaching us about like, Maryland was on probation and their games weren't allowed to be televised. And then they came back and then Walt Williams and Joe Smith and these guys started making like a huge, turnaround for Maryland. And it was such a great buzz and it was really exciting. And Maryland basketball is a huge part of our family's life for many years. And that's why I say I'll never have any bad feelings for anything. Like till today, I can tell you right now, like I love Coach Billy Hahn and I'm in touch with him and I love his family. It's everything with me is I always felt like divinely ordained the way it's supposed to be and no hard feelings in any way, just blessings for everyone.
Yeah, that's from all accounts. And I remember I was pretty young when Len, I do remember it, but I mean, he was LeBron before LeBron. And
yeah, he still has that reputation. And I'm always glad to see when people bring his name up. And I like in general when people bring up the names of players, great players in the past, and also educate people about players that passed away. I like when we talk about Drazen Petrovic. I like when they talk about Reggie Lewis. I like when they talk about Len Bias because I think it's very important to keep their legacy alive and educate the younger generation of players about them.
Hank Gathers too. I used to shoot free throws lefty, and that's how I started to be able to shoot.
So I think a lot of this goes back to like what I was telling you is like we think about these stories and they impact us so much after all these years because it was before social media, and so it's a little bit harder I think for the next generation to connect and have the impact so much because they see so many things every single day.
But it works in both ways. Like if you had social media back when you were playing, it's like sometimes it makes things much bigger than it is, and then sometimes it makes these huge things not a big deal because there's so much going on, and like you said, 5 minutes from now we're concentrated on another story.
Yeah, it's like I think about like the Michael Jordan documentary that came out. It's like anyone that was old enough to like remember Jordan in his prime. Like I don't have a TV. I don't ever really watch TV. I haven't had a TV since like 2009. Something like that. Yeah. So I'm not. But when the doc, I heard the doc was coming out. Like I told my wife, like I really want to watch this. I want to watch this because it meant something to us so much when we were younger. These stories, these legends, Hank Gathers, Len Bias, Michael Jordan, like because like it was in our imagination. Like I couldn't watch anytime I wanted to watch Michael Jordan's highlights. Like you watched the game. Maybe there was an instant replay, and then you went back on your court or your park, and you had it in your brain and your heart. Like, okay, what did I see? What did he do? Now, how am I going to make that move? How am I going to teach myself? And I live it over and over and over again in my mind and in my heart. And it stayed with me. It became part of our essence, and that's why our generation, I think, a lot of times we relate to these stories a little differently.
But now the problem is every kid is going out there trying to do this Steph Curry, James Harden jump back, which is clearly a travel. I don't know why they can't figure out. The officials can't be like, you know what? You can't do that move.
Yeah, well, the game is clearly changing, and it's already changed, and it's going to continue to change. And what used to be a travel, and it's just none of that's relevant. Like the coaches have to adapt, the players have to adapt. It's never going to go back. The ball is even different. I was thinking about it last night. Like the ball is different nowadays. Like everything is different. Like you could do things you weren't able to do. The training's different. The nutrition's different. Like everything's different. Like when we were growing up, it was like you don't need to drink water. Why do you need to drink water, man? Play through it. Play through it. You're not thirsty. Like, it's like we didn't know how to take care of our bodies. We didn't know how to maximize production. We didn't even know about talking to someone about mental struggles on the game, sports psychologists. Like, all this stuff is so needed. And I'm so glad that the world has it now. The athletes have it now. They're able to maximize their potential a lot more. The technology is incredible. But you're able to do moves that we just couldn't have ever thought of before. Would be it's just different. The game's different.
Yeah.
It's played differently. I went to a game last night. Like, I think they threw the ball in the post like 3 times the entire game. Like, our job was to come down, get the ball in the post, get the defense to collapse.
Come back down. Yeah.
It doesn't. It's the game's different. It's all different.
Yeah. Give me a bucket list. What's on your bucket list? Something you haven't done that you'd like to accomplish? Could be travel or.
I'm doing it right now. My bucket list is to reach my potential and raise my 5 kids as the best father possible. But my bucket list, I'm doing it, was to create this movie. I got a movie deal, write the children's book, got a book deal, bring this new product to market. I think I'm going to do it on Monday. Those are like the things that I really, really wanted to do. And then every other day is just, in general, is just reaching my potential as a human being, being the best father, being the best husband, helping as many people as possible.
Taking being a father out of the picture, if you could only do one of the things that you're kind of, because you have a hand in a lot of things. If you can only do one thing, do the basketball camp, be a front office, write a book. What would you choose if you could only do one of those?
I think I'm most proud of my product I'm about to drop in the next very soon, is because I already had one product. I got it stolen. Patent infringement. The truth finally came out. And it just took so much courage and everything I've been through the last 20 years is basically so many setbacks, so many injuries, so many surgeries, so much negative stuff in the media. And just the courage to come back out with another product that I really, really believe in and is going to better the generation, better basketball and everything. I'm really, really excited about it. And I just can't wait to finally release it.
Well, it's coming soon, right? You said next week, maybe?
Yeah.
Breaking news on the Wolff Den. That's what we do. We break news all the time.
Yeah.
Give me your Mount Rushmore of basketball. It could be your 4 favorite, the 4 best, the 4 Jewish basketball players you ever played. The Mount Rushmore of basketball. What Tamir's Mount Rushmore of basketball? What is it?
It's really impossible for me to do it because I love the game so much and I find the positives in every player. But I'll just tell you like what comes to mind when I think of certain players. Like, I think like Kobe mastered the game of basketball. When I think of Kobe, it's just someone that like he mastered the angles. He mastered basketball. I mean, he was a basketball master. Michael Jordan, I just feel like he was the most graceful. You were just going to see something that your eyes never saw before every night. And you just knew he was going to somehow find a way to win the game. Magic, smile, his passing. LeBron exceeded all expectations, continues to get better every year in different areas of the game. His basketball IQ. Like that's how I watch the game. I can't make like a list. I just like look at certain players and just see like how incredible they are. Steph,
LeBron is so dominant. He's just such an imposing. I mean, it's just unbelievable how dominant he is. I don't think he's never going to be Michael Jordan. No one's ever going to be Michael Jordan, but he's going to get closer than I think anyone ever could.
He is so impressive. And then like a lot of people say, oh well, he was blessed with this incredible body. Which is true. He has a great body, but there's a lot of basketball players that are like 6'8", 250, and he's really maximized that, and he just keeps going. Year 19, it's amazing. I love seeing the positives in each player. That's how I watch a game. And I was at the game with my son last night, and just going over, just trying to show him the positives. Learn the positives from each player. It's
your children. Any athletes in your family?
They're all athletic. All 5 of them are athletic. I would say like 2 of them, basketball is a really big part of their life, but in a different way. My oldest daughter, I would say she is a really great. I wouldn't be surprised if she was like a basketball analyst one day or like spoke on TV. Like she knows everything about the game, and she loves the game. Well, two of my daughters love it like that, but then my son is he's a player. He's someone that he's he has like
Keep an eye on him. Is that what we're saying?
yeah
Keep an eye on him. All
yeah
right.
he has the dedication and the
Good.
love.
We're going to get you out on the same question we get everyone out of the Wolff Den. You can pick one person to spend a day with. It could be anyone in the world. They have to be alive, and you can't be related to them. Who do you want to pick? And
Are you allowed to
I had
say
to add those caveats because then I had people saying, "Well, my dad, my brother, my
right.
son." I'm like, "No, we need. I want you to pick a person in the world who you can hang out with. You get a day. Who are you picking, and what are you guys going to do? We make a list. We're doing outreach to try and make all this happen. My friend Brent wants to go fishing with George W. He doesn't realize I say it every time he puts this that he needs to be a guest on the Wolff Den, which he's invited to be. But if you're not a guest on the Wolff Den, we're not doing outreach for you. So, Tamir, who are you going to pick, and what are you going to do?
Oh my God! Is your wife considered related to you?
Yeah, I would think so. I hope so.
Yeah.
This is an opportunity to just pick someone. Hey, is there someone in the world you said, you know what, I'd like to hang out with this person?
Yeah, I think I'd like to talk to Michael Jordan in person one day and just say, hey, just go over a whole George Jordan thing. And
Have you ever? I mean, that's
really
probably a
positive.
terrible job by me by not asking this question. Has anyone ever tried to get you together? Have you ever reached out to him and say, "Hey, I was the one who was dubbed the Jewish Jordan"?
No, I don't know if this is true. I don't know if this is true or not. But when I played in the Capital Classic All-Star game, I believe he was the owner of the Wizards at the time, and we were playing at the Wizards arena. One of the reporters said, you know, Michael Jordan mentioned you in the media room, saying how he was curious to see how you played or something like that. I can't say if it's true or not because I wasn't there, but that was, I guess, the closest I ever had. But maybe one day it'll happen.
I mean, there's no way he doesn't know who you are.
I
I
don't
would
know.
think. I have a book of funny quotes, and I think it was not Mike Tomczak. He's like, yeah, they mention me and Michael Jordan all the time in the same sense. He goes, Mike Tomczak, he's no Michael Jordan. That's one of my favorite sports. Look, it's on the list. I actually think it's crazy as it sounds. I think there's a chance that we can make this happen based on who you are and the whole story. So we're going to put it on the list and try and make it happen. Really appreciate your time today. It's such a great story. I think of, there's so many great lessons to learn from what you've been through. And so I encourage everyone to go read up more about it. Watch, there's articles and there's, little stories, but as you mentioned, there's a movie coming out. Check out TamirGoodman.com. You can find all information about his books, about his products, about the movie coming out, social media. Just really appreciate you on here and look forward to having you on again when you have something else to promote.
Thank you. Thank you to all the listeners. Blessings and love to everyone. Thank you for thinking of me, and only good news.
Yeah, it's almost nighttime where you're at, or at least early afternoon. We're starting our day. So enjoy your day. We got a great guest tomorrow and some really good guests coming up next week. And everyone have a blessed day.
Thank you. All the best.